Hello everyone, on today's episode we're going to talk about taking control of the mind. Hello everyone, as discussed in the intro, today I want to talk about the mind, what it is, and how to take control of it. But as always, I'm going to start with a quote, and that quote is, "If you correct the mind, the rest will fall into place." Written by the great Lao Tzu in 573 BC. Lao Tzu understood, as many people understood, that the mind is really at the epicenter of everything in your life. You experience through the mind. Therefore, if your mind is angry or clouded, the reality you experience will be angry and clouded. So we're going to talk about what is the mind, because for a lot of people, when I start talking about the mind, they confuse it with the brain. The brain and the mind are two very different things. The brain is understandable. We have scientists who work exclusively on the brain, neuroscientists and doctors and surgeons who work with the brain. And over the last 50 years, we've made some remarkable discoveries. But understanding the brain really has led us to nowhere when it comes to happiness and human development, because ultimately the mind, which is different to the brain, is what controls our reality. Now, the mind is the total understanding and awareness of your being. Now, whilst the brain interprets your understanding of your being, the mind incorporates every part of you, from your soul to your brain to your heart, to the way your fingertips feel things, how you memorize things, the sort of people you bring into your life. The mind is basically a giant map of your soul. It includes the neural pathways, the things that you've learnt. It also includes your reflex memory and the muscle memory that you might have in your body. And the mind is really what's super important, because as we all know, you can have a very, very good brain, but you can have a very, very bad life. And ultimately your mind is what's super important. There's people out there who have had brain injuries or don't have full functioning of their brain, that go on to live remarkable lives because they look after their mind. My personal story was that I think I've got a good brain, and I use my brain a lot, which I've now learnt is probably a quick path to unhappiness. The thoughts that you constantly generate through the brain are not you. They're absolutely not you, and I can guarantee you that. You are your mind, you are your soul, you are the awareness of the brain. The fact we can talk about the brain, a brain talking about a brain, therefore means there must be something behind that with an awareness of itself. So I'm going to play a short video from my friend Andy, and Andy's going to explain in a cartoon format a bit more about the mind. So take a look at this video and I'll be with you in just a sec.
Think of the mind as a still pool of water. Now each raindrop that falls from the sky creates a ripple on the surface. If it starts raining very hard, or it's perhaps a little windy, then the pool might become so cloudy that we can't even see what's on the bottom. But the potential to return to our still pool of water at any time is still there. In fact, by training the mind, the ripples naturally begin to slow. And as the surface of the pool becomes increasingly still, it becomes easier to see what's beneath the surface. Sometimes you might like what you see, and at other times, well, maybe not so much. Now, occasionally finding things we don't like may sound off-putting at first, but it's a really important process, as it's part of letting go of those things. Accepting what's in our mind also helps us to be less critical of ourselves, less judgmental. Funnily enough, it helps us to be less critical of others too. So we start to feel more content in life, to experience more harmonious relationships, and to be more at ease with the world around us.
Okay, so Andy's just described how the mind works in a very, very articulate way. Now, my personal story was that before I understood the mind, I would constantly read books about efficiency, about the brain, about brain training, and really didn't look at my mind as a whole. Meditation for me was a key to revealing that the mind was far more powerful than the brain. And we're going to talk about now the effort required to understand the mind and understand your thoughts. And once again, my friend Andy will provide you with a short video, and you'll help you understand how effort plays a big part in the mind.
We're always taught the more effort we put in, the more we'll get out of life. But of course, this isn't always true. Take falling asleep, for example. You can prepare in the right way, put yourself in the right position, and get yourself comfortable. But after that, well, you can't force it to happen, right? In fact, it works exactly the other way around. The harder you try, the less sleepy you become. It's only when we stop trying that we finally let go and drift off. And before we know it, we're waking up the next morning feeling refreshed and relaxed after a good night's sleep. And it's a very similar story when we're training the mind. I think a nice metaphor for this is the idea of taming a wild horse. If you look at how a wild horse is tamed, rather than pinning it down in one place, the horse is led out on a very long rope and put in a big, open, spacious field. And the horse runs round feeling like it's got all the space in the world. But very slowly, the rope's pulled in, and the horse adjusts to this feeling until it comes to a natural place of rest. And we're looking to do just the same thing with the mind in meditation, not trying to pin it down in one place, but bring it to a natural place of rest. So let go of any idea of needing to achieve something or get somewhere, and instead enjoy the opportunity to sit back, relax, and be present in the world.
Great explanation, right? Really loving the fact that you're sticking to these and getting a good understanding of the most important part of your life, which is your mind. Now, expectations play a huge part in our lives. In fact, you change your expectations for appreciations and you become instantly happy. So now we're going to play another short video on expectations and how they can affect the mind and how you can control them.
Training the mind is often quite different to how people imagine it to be. Maybe they have an idea it's about stopping thoughts or eliminating feelings. But the reality is a bit different. An easy way to think of it is to imagine yourself sitting by the side of a busy road. The passing cars representing the thoughts and the feelings. Now all you have to do is to sit there and watch the cars. Sounds easy, right? But what usually happens is that we feel a bit unsettled by the movement of the traffic. So we run out into the road and try to stop the cars, or maybe even chase after a few, forgetting that the idea was to just sit there. And of course all this running around only adds to the feeling of restlessness in the mind. So training the mind is about changing our relationship with the passing thoughts and feelings, learning to view them with a little more perspective. And when we do this, we naturally find a place of calm. Will we sometimes forget the idea of the exercise and become distracted? Of course we will. But as soon as we remember, there we are, back on the side of the road again, just watching the traffic go by, perfectly at ease in both body and mind.
Incredible, right? How powerful are expectations? Now, clearing the mind and allowing your true self to act rather than think is at the heart of Zen, Taoism, and most major religions. It's now come into psychology through the present, or being present with the moment. Great books by Eckhart Tolle. The idea has been around for a long time, and if you know people who are present, they're generally pretty good people to be around. And when you're present, I bet you're in your zone, you're having fun, you're painting, you're playing your favourite sport, or engrossed in your favourite music. So we're going to talk about how to create some blue sky now with one more animation from my friend Andy.
Take a moment to imagine a bright blue sky stretching off into the distance. Feels pretty good, right? This is a perfect metaphor for the mind, a blank canvas on which thoughts, feelings, and experiences appear. Okay, so maybe there are just a few clouds, but they tend not to bother us or distract us too much, especially if they're the cute little fluffy variety. This is how the mind appears when it's calm, bright, serene, and happy. But life isn't always easy. Sometimes there are a lot more clouds in the sky. Sometimes they might be the dark and stormy variety. Occasionally we might even begin to wonder if a hurricane is on the way. It gets to the point that it's hard to think of anything else. In fact, sometimes we get so obsessed by the clouds that we forget about the blue sky altogether. But it's still there. Every time you're in a plane and you fly through the clouds, there it is, right? Without fail, blue sky. It's easy to forget that what we're looking for is already here. And that's why we need reminding.
Thank you, Andy. Those are fantastic videos and I appreciate your assistance. Your mind will be with you till the day you die, and your mind will create every problem that you have and every solution you have. So it's definitely worth thinking about how you can spend some time on the mind. Meditation is a great start. I teach meditation and I'll put some links under this article where you can learn more. If you want to talk personally about your mind to me, we can catch up on a coaching call. But other than that, I'll see you tomorrow for another episode of the 1 Year Life Transformation Challenge. Goodbye.